Hi, I'm Jilly G. Welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make my sweet potato black bean salad. And it's just like any salad, you can add whatever you like. If you don't like black beans, use red kidney beans. You could even use pinto beans. So over here I do have 1 can of black beans that I've rinsed and drained. And then I also have 1.5 cups of frozen corn that is thawed and draining as well. Just easier to put those together in the same strainer. And then I've got a red pepper, 2 sweet potatoes, I've got some romaine lettuce and some kale. But again, like any kind of salad, use your favorite lettuces. And if you don't like a red pepper, use a green pepper. If I had fresh tomatoes, I would throw those in. Avocado. Salads are so versatile for whatever you like. So the first thing I need to do is preheat my oven. And you want to preheat your oven to 400. And then the next thing I'm going to do is get my dressing together. I like to get the dressing together first. Then it has time to kind of get its flavors together in the fridge while we get all of the other things ready. And this will be kind of a spicy ranch dressing. So I like to put everything in a large mason jar. It's much bigger than what we need, but that way you have room to shake everything around. And then I've got a bunch of cilantro here. It's actually kind of a small handful. You can put as much or as little as you like. And I've already washed it and dried it. I find it so much easier to chop when it's dry. And this is to taste. I know a lot of people don't like cilantro, so you don't have to add it in. Or if you like more, add that in. So here on my channel, I have a taco salad video and recipe. And there's an avocado dressing in that recipe that I use for my taco salad. That dressing is really good on this salad as well. So if you don't like the ingredients that I'm using for this dressing, that is an alternative. So the first thing I'm going to add in is I've got 1 cup of mayonnaise here. Very carefully plop it into my jar. You could use a funnel if you needed to. You could always mix this in a separate bowl and then pour it in the jar. But for less dishes, this is what we do. Or for that matter, if I didn't have everything measured out to show you, I would just eyeball all of the ingredients in the jar and then just shake it up. And then I've got 1 cup of milk. And then I've got 2 tablespoons of my ranch seasoning mix. I always make a large batch of this and then I store it in a jar in the fridge and then it's ready to go for recipes like this. That recipe is here on my channel. It's also in my cookbook. And then to make this a little southwestern spicy, I've got 1 teaspoon of chipotle pepper powder. All in there. If you don't like spicy, you don't need to put that in. And you could, if you wanted to, for this dressing, you could buy a can of the chipotle peppers in sauce and cut up the pepper and use some of the sauce in this dressing. That is really delicious. But I don't have any of those peppers in a can today. So I do have this dried powder, so that's what I'm using. And then just give it a really good shake. I forgot to put my cilantro in. And you always want to make sure to have a tight fitting lid when you're going to be shaking a dressing like that. There we go. Cilantro in there and everywhere. Okay, so that is done in the fridge to just hang out while we get everything ready. Got cilantro everywhere here. So now for the sweet potatoes. I've got a cookie sheet here. I've got all of my spices and I've got some olive oil. So I've got 2 small to medium sweet potatoes. And I've got them peeled already. Now for this recipe, I like to go bite-sized pieces. Maybe a little bit smaller than bite-size. And it's okay if there's a little bit of cilantro on there from the cutting board and the knife. There's all of our sweet potatoes cut up. I like to kind of bunch them in the middle and then pour on my spices and my olive oil. And just so I get even distribution of my spices, I'm going to use a little whisk here. So in my little bowl, I've got a ½ teaspoon each salt and pepper. That is to taste. I've got 1 teaspoon onion powder, 1 teaspoon garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of cumin, and 1 teaspoon of chili powder. Now, if you wanted to, you could go with the chipotle chili powder and kind of keep going with the seasoning, but I like to have the different flavors. So you could mix all of your sweet potatoes, oil, and spices together in a big bowl, but I like to mix them on the cookie sheet. Again, it makes for less dishes. And my oven is preheated. And you don't have to stir this together. I just like to have it mostly mixed together when we pour it on the sweet potatoes. That way the flavors get all over everything. And this is probably, 3 or 4 tablespoons of olive oil. And then just go in here with your spices and then get in here and just mix it together. You could mix it together with your hands, but I don't want the spices on my hands. And you can see where a bowl would be easy to mix everything together, but this is fine. Make sure to get a little bit more olive oil if you need it. Once all of the sweet potatoes are covered in the oil and the spices, I like to level it out, make it into an even layer. Okay, that looks really good. This will go into the oven. I'm going to set my timer for about 15 minutes and then stir them around and then just keep going until they're a little crispy on the outside and soft on the inside. And while we're waiting for that, get cleaned up a little bit here. I'm going to get my red pepper cut up and I'll just throw that in with my beans and my corn, and then we'll get on to the lettuce. And I'm going smallish bite-sized pieces with my red pepper. Not quite as small as the size of the beans and the corn, but kind of. So now that that's done, what I like to do with my lettuces, and I've mentioned this before, I've got my salad spinner here. I don't wash my lettuce first. I think it's easier to just get it cut up, and then I can really rinse it very well in my basket here for my salad spinner, and then spin it dry. That's just what I like to do. So I always save it for last because then I don't have to wash my cutting board in between. So I've got a bunch of kale here, and then 1 head of romaine lettuce. And what I like to do with my kale is I like to cut the stem off. And I've got my compost bucket down there. And I like this to be in smallish, bite-sized pieces as well. Like everything to kind of fit on a fork when you're eating a salad. Just makes it easier to eat. And it makes it easier to stir it around in your bowl. That's what I like to do with salad. I like to give everything a really good stir. If all you like for a salad is iceberg lettuce, do that. But I really like salads to have a lot of the dark leafy greens, and then I also like to have a variety of lettuces in there, like the romaine, or you could really use whatever your favorite is. And because I'm not going to be using all of my lettuce today, I don't like to wash it first until I'm ready to use it. Kind of stays a little bit fresher in the fridge that way. But that's just me. And then tomorrow or the next day, whenever I need more lettuce and kale, I'll just cut it fresh and wash it then. And then of course, take off any questionable parts. Sometimes the outer leaves get a little damaged from the store, get a little wilted. All right, that looks like a good amount for a salad. And then I like to stack them up, and I leave this stem in with my romaine lettuce, but I like to cut on either side of it and then cut in bite-sized pieces. Okay, that's a nice amount for a couple of salads. Now I can just get this washed, spin it dry, get everything cleaned up. Got about 5 minutes before I check on my sweet potatoes. My sweet potatoes have been going for about 45 minutes. Every 15 minutes or so, I take them out and I stir them around, and they are getting nice and soft and crispy. And they smell delicious. Now, they're not super crispy like a French fry or something like that. Now, these are almost where I like them. About another 15 minutes, I think, will do the trick. And as I've been taking these out and stirring them around, if I'd have thought about it, I would have used my air fryer setting on my oven and gotten them crispier faster. So if you have an air fryer, these would go great in there too. But if you don't have an air fryer, in the oven, just roasting like this will do the same thing. It just takes a little bit longer. I always forget that I have the air fryer setting on my new oven. Now this is what I like. Nice and crispy, but really soft. And I like these to cool off just a little bit. I don't want them to be straight out of the oven. And these can cool off for just a minute while we shake up our dressing. And it has turned a different color because of that chipotle powder in there. Now this dressing is a little bit thinner than a store-bought ranch dressing is. But it really smells delicious. So now we just get however much lettuce that you like. And then I've mixed together my bean, my corns, and my red pepper. Now again, this is your salad. Add in whatever you like. You could add in a tomato, you could add in an avocado, you could add in some toasted pumpkin seeds for some crunch. But most of the time, I like it just like this. Now we'll go a little sweet potatoes here. And just a little bit of our salad dressing. And I'm the kind of person that I like to stir my salad up. Now you could also add chicken or beef or something like that to go in this salad. You could bake some chicken with the same seasonings that we put on our sweet potatoes and bake them at the same time. And then you would have a salad that could go for a nice dinner, especially with summer coming. Sometimes it's too hot to cook or it's too hot to eat. So a salad is always a good choice. So I like to get a little bit of everything in here. And we can take a bite. It is so good. It is delicious. I love this salad. It has such delicious flavor, the spices that we put on the sweet potatoes, and then the spices that are in our dressing. It all goes together so well. And I love the different textures. I always like to have something crunchy like a red pepper, or you could put celery, something like that. And then, of course, your lettuce. Sometimes the lettuce is on the crunchy side, but I like to have those different textures going on. It really is delicious. And it's not overly spicy at all. It's spicy in the way that it has a lot of really good spicy flavors, but not spicy hot. It does have a little bit of heat, but just the right amount for me. So depending on what you like, you can make this even more spicy, and then you can make your dressing even more spicy. It's really up to you. Perfect for lunch, perfect for dinner if you throw in some chicken. Just delicious. Let me know what you think if you make this recipe. But thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have any questions or comments, let me know, and I'll see you on the next one.